So, you find yourself walking down the cobbled streets of Waterdeep, and you pass by the marquee for the yawning portal, and a sign out front in chalk says, "One night only, Wally the Wizard and his stand-up comedy." And you think, Wally the Wizard? I haven't heard of him. Wonder if this guy's is any good. Well, let's go in and find out. So you push through the doors and you walk up and you can get a view down to the stage. And there is Wally the Wizard right in the middle of telling a few one-liners. And he goes, "Hey, what do you get when you pull Mistress Finger? A Cloudkill. Ah ha 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 ha." All right, hey, welcome everybody to Arcane Wednesday for September 30th, 2020. I'm your host, DM Gallibond, and as Wally the Wizard showed us in the intro, tonight we are going to be talking about the Cloudkill spell. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how this spell has changed over the years, where it originated, and all of that good stuff. All right, the Cloudkill spell started in original D&D, and it was a 5th level spell for magic users, and it started a range of 1 foot, so right next to the caster, and lasted for 6 turns. And remember, each turn is 10 minutes, so it lasts a whole hour, and it creates a moving poisonous cloud. Circular cloud of poisonous vapor 30 feet across and 20 feet tall. That is pretty much standard. That hasn't changed much at all. Moves away at the rate of 60 feet or 20 feet per round. Okay. 60 feet per non-combat round, 20 feet per combat round. That's what that means there. In any one direction. With the wind, otherwise in the direction chosen by the caster. The cloud is heavier than air and will sink when possible, going down holes, sliding downhill, etc., etc. Cloud will evaporate if it hits trees or thick vegetation, and if cast in a small corridor or a small area such as a 10-foot tall dungeon corridor, the cloud may be of smaller than normal size. So all living creatures within the cloud take 1 point of damage per round. Wow, 5th level spell to do 1 point of damage per round. Any victim of less than 5 hit dice must make a saving throw versus poison or be killed by the vapors. Oh, okay. Well, now that makes it deadly. So 5th level spell, you automatically kill everything 5 hit dice or lower unless they make a saving throw versus poison. All right. So let's see in AD&D. AD&D or first edition, how did that look? The size and shape and everything is pretty much the same, except for the effects on creatures. So the spell generates a billowing cloud of ghastly yellowish green vapors, so toxic as to slay any creature with fewer than 4+1 hit dice. Then for creatures with 4+1 to 5+1 hit dice, they have to save versus poison at -4 on their dice rolls. And creatures up to 6 hit dice inclusive save versus poison normally or be slain by the cloud. Now, it moves away from the caster at 10 feet per round, rolling along the surface of the ground. A wind will cause it to alter course, but will not move back toward the caster. Strong wind will break it up in 4 rounds, and greater wind force prevents the use of the spell entirely. Very thick vegetation will disperse the cloud in 2 rounds, and vapors are heavy in the air. They will sink to the lowest level of the land, even pour down a den or sinkhole openings. So they suggest you might use this to kill a nest of giant ants or something like that. Now, second edition. Okay, I guess the size does change a little bit. So it's 40 by 20 by 20 foot cloud. This is a 40 by 20 by 20 foot cloud, and original was 30 by 20 by 20. Okay, so uh, changes slightly. Now, all of this stuff about the 4 plus 1 and 4 plus 1 to 5 plus 1 and 6 hit dice, that all remains the same. However, it says those above 6 level or 6 hit dice must leave the cloud immediately or suffer 1d10 points of damage each round while in the area of effect. And it moves away from the spellcaster at 10 feet per round, rolling along the surface of the ground. Moderate breeze causes it to alter course, roll for direction, but it does not move back toward the caster. Now, there's one thing here that's interesting, and it's the only version of the spell that specifies this. But if you're the kind of DM that is looking for some sort of precedent, I would say that you're free to use this little line here to stand in for all of the various editions of the spell. It says it cannot penetrate liquids, nor can it be cast underwater. So if you have a player in 5th edition, in your 5th edition game that wants to cast Cloudkill underwater, I would say that you are within your right as the DM to go back and cite the 2nd edition rules and say, nope, it's specified in 2nd edition that it cannot penetrate liquids, can't be cast underwater, so that stands for all editions because no other editions say anything about that. At least not as far as I recall. So, Cloudkill. And 3rd edition, it is a Sorcerer and Wizard's 5th level spell. Cloud spreads in 20-foot radius, 20 feet high, and its range is medium, so you no longer have to cast it right next to you. It can be anywhere within 100 feet or plus 10 feet per level, and it lasts a minute per level. So it generates a bank of fog similar to a fog cloud, except it has vapors yellowish, green, and poisonous. Vapors automatically kill any living creature with 3 or fewer hit dice, no save allowed. Living creature with 4 to 6 hit dice is slain unless it succeeds on a fortitude save, in which case it takes 1d4 points of constitution damage on your turn each round. And a living creature with 6 or more hit dice takes 1d4 points of constitution damage on your turn each round while in the cloud, and they can have that damage with a fortitude save. So then, yes, unlike Fog Cloud, Cloudkill moves away from you 10 feet per round, figure out a cloud's new spread. Okay, because the vapors are heavy and air, sink to the lowest level of land, they pour it down. Okay, and it also says here it cannot penetrate liquids, nor can it be cast underwater. All right, so it continues that in 3rd edition. So now 4th edition is always a little bit weird. So always kind of funny to see what they did in 4th edition. Yellow-green vapors emerge from the ground with a hiss, forming a thick toxic cloud. Okay, so here they come up from the ground. And it's an area burst 5 within 20 squares. So pick a point and then every square out 5 squares from that square. Then each creature in the burst takes 1d10 plus your intelligence modifier poison damage. And burst creates a zone of poisonous vapors that lasts until the end of your next turn. Creature that enters the zone or starts turn takes 1d10 plus intelligence modifier damage. As a move action, you can move the zone 3 squares, and if you use a minor action to sustain it, you can make that persist from round to round. So that is that's a daily spell at level 19 for wizards. And then in 5th edition, the current edition, it's a 5th level spell. It lasts 10 minutes. Can cast it out to 120 feet. and it's a 20-foot radius sphere of poisonous yellow-green fog. Spreads around corners, lasts for the duration until dispersed by a strong wind. And then the damage is 5d8 poison damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Creatures are affected even if they hold their breath or don't need to breathe. So the fog moves 10 feet away from you at the start of each of your turns, rolling along the surface of the ground. Vapors, being heavier than air, sink to the lowest level of land, even pouring down openings. And then you can upcast this to add an additional 1d8 of damage. Now, notice in 5th edition, it doesn't say anything about that underwater thing. But 2nd edition and 3rd edition both do. So what I said stands before. If you have a player that wants to cast it underwater, you are perfectly well within your rights to go back and cite older versions of the spell and say, hey, this edition doesn't say anything about it, but that does. Now, of course, it's also your table, your rules. So if the player gives you like some sort of super rule of cool that you're like, you know what, I really want to allow this Cloudkill to work underwater, then go for it. It's your game. But just remember, you do that, you're setting a precedent. And rule of cool always has that potential unintended consequence that you could set a precedent that other people could try to use later on in the game. But, no telling how often that comes up. All right, well, that is going to do it for tonight. I have been DM Gallibond. This has been Arcane Wednesday. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the videos, click the post notification bell so that you will be notified every time new content drops on the channel. Also, thank you, everybody. Hope to see you back next week. Let me know in the comments below if you have, your favorite instance of Cloudkill that you have either used as a player or seen in a game where you were either another player or the DM. Would love to hear about that. And in the description, you can find all the ways that you can follow me on social media, including all the ways you can find the actual play content that I create every week on my Twitch channel. All right. Good night, everybody. Take care.